These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good, Charlie. How you doing, my friend? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm so proud to have people like you on my show, young men who are out there appealing to the younger generation. Because when I started this, 85% of my audience were women. And I said, now's the chance for the lads to come out and shine. And last week we had on another young man from the UK, who's also UK combined with Australia. Yourself as well, young men with voices, and using the voice in the best way possible, because most young men, or all young men, they don't have value in life unless they actually do something. And most men want to be Superman or what have you, and this is the chance to shine, because at the moment we're coming out of a very dark place, and all you need to do is stand up, and if you stand up and stand out, you will be outstanding.
Absolutely.
And you're doing your job. What you're doing at the moment, I've looked at a few of your TikToks, and you're just full of life. This is what we need: people full of life, people who can express themselves, and people who can get a message across. So maybe you can tell, before we start, tell our audience who you are, what you're about, what you're doing, and what brings us together.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for inviting me on your show. It's an absolute honour. And my name's Den. Actually, that's short for Denovan, not Dennis. And for the last 16 years, I've actually been running a small business from Southwest London. It's a specialist carpet cleaning company. It's not your ordinary carpet cleaning by any stretch. I'm actually a restorer, and it's a renowned company. For what we do, we're actually regarded as probably the best at what we do, because for me, it's all about, service to others and doing what I say I'm going to do, and delivering on, where possible, everything that I promise and beyond. So I was focusing on that for like 16 years, and before my greater awakening, let's say, started to really kind of unfold, I was thinking about scaling that company. I could have scaled that company to be a multi-seven-figure business because of the model that we've been running and prestige of it. But then, of course, I did start to go through more of my awakening process, and that got accelerated in 2020. I was having many sort of, prophetic dreams during that time as well. And so I turned my attention to, being able to actually see how we could actually bring people together that were also going through that process, recognizing what's going on in the economy. I knew that basically it was absolutely vital to pull people together, but also to bring abundance to people, because also on my journey, I've taken a massive interest in health and wellness. I knew that poverty is the underlying cause for most chronic diseases. Stress kills, basically, and that they were driving poverty. In fact, what's his name? Boris Johnson in 2014, when he was mayor, made a speech at some sort of convention, and he said that poverty was the underlying cause for the three biggest killers: cancer, obesity, and heart disease. And he made a very good point of that. So, of course, seeing that it was a controlled demolition that they were doing on the economy, already leading up to 2020, but very much in 2020, obviously that was what was giving me the pressing sense to obviously drive some abundance as well. And so I started to have these prophetic dreams, and I started to build a website, which was in 2022. In April 2022, I actually then discovered this divine plan, which was already well established internationally, a team of people promoting it. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's Divine GPMS World, Divine Global People's Monetary System. And it's not to do with anything to do with currency. It's about bringing in a new replacement system completely of absolute abundance, recognizing what's at the core of all of the problems, and bringing all of the people from every race, religion, color, creed together in alignment with equal, unparalleled abundance like we've never ever seen before, and equal shareholding, if you like, of all of the Earth's infrastructure, resources and corporations to activate the intrinsic value of each human being, which is infinite, by decree, by proclamation, and logging the visible agreement of that, of every man that discovers this, every woman, every child, for free through the platform, so we can visibly show the world, right, the people's true choice to be free, to be abundant, and to be protected under something called divine law, which is simple: do no harm. So yeah, this is where the replacement system of abundance basically goes above common law. Common law will protect you against harm and loss from your fellow man, woman, etc. But it doesn't protect you against scarcity and lack. Yet scarcity and lack is what's driving the systemic problems, is what allows people to starve to death, die of easily curable diseases, which thousands of children die every single day of, millions of people dying of stress. So we're at a very, very special divine time at this moment now, because we can actually create this. We couldn't do it 10 years ago. We didn't have the connectivity of the internet worldwide to connect with people all over the world with this information, to come together like we can with this new universal nation, which is what we're creating, which is in the ether, which will rapidly come into place simply by our free will choosing it. And so that's the very basic sum of it. But of course, there's a lot more detail. We've actually got a plan that's contained in the website that's very simple yet very profound, that creates the opportunity for people to start imagining it, answers a lot of the questions which they actually find the answers for in themselves as they start to use their imagination again. And really what this is also doing is not just logging the agreements, the accords, the decrees, the proclamations of every man, woman and child for free, but it's empowering everyone to actually be the one that creates a change by their agreement. But then also on the journey, this has been done by us, not for us. So in the last year, just very quickly, I've basically been learning how to use social media, how to create content that actually engages people, how to increase reach and engagement. And a step-by-step formula I've now created to teach people what I've been doing, to replicate what I've been doing, to empower people, again, not just people my own age and my generation, but everyone across all ages with this. So we can have thousands of people talking about this plan, because that is what's going to break the mass formation. That's what's going to basically convince people that this isn't, just, well, it'd be nice if it does happen. It is occurring. There's no stopping this, right? Because really, 4 billion people are below the line of poverty already, and that means that we've already got the vote just from those people. But then everyone's going to choose this ultimately when they actually truly understand it and believe it's possible. So yeah.
But there's two things there that come to mind. One is that this was about 2 or 3 years ago when I was explaining the new world to my youngest son, Justin, who's now 16. He was 13 at the time. One of his mates said to me, "So what you're saying to me, Charlie, is if I was to fill my dad's garden with carrots, then I've got enough carrots for my family, and with the rest of them, I could swap them for potatoes with the man next door, and for chickens down the road, he could get carrots from me and I could get chickens or eggs from him." I said, "Yeah, that's fundamentally right." And he got it at 13. And he said, "But who's going to make the roads?" I said, "Well, the man who makes the roads is going to need carrots." Yeah, I suppose he will. It's that simple when you think about it. The problem is governments got involved so they could take tax. Now, my second thing that it stimulated me to think is why God put me on a certain journey. I'm 65 now, but when I was 23 or 24, I set up a building company, and I was only an electrician. I was a qualified electrician, and I was doing a job at a house, but I needed a plumber. And I knew a mate of mine who was a plumber. And he said to me, "Yeah, I'll come around and do the job." And he said, "I'm so snowed under with paperwork." I said, "Why don't we form a partnership, you and I? I don't mind working at nights. I'll do the paperwork for the two of us. You just do the work. I'll get the business. You do the work. I'll do the electrical. You do the plumbing." Oh, he said, "That made my day." So the two of us were a partnership. And then I went out before social media was even thought about, and I had 100 signs made up with the name of my company, which was Lee Glenker, which was Lee, Glenn and Carl and my 3 kids, property management. Just created the name and stuck it outside of the house we were working in. But I had 99 signs left. So I drove around looking for nice houses that were for sale but empty, and stuck it in their garden too before social media. And then the local newspaper, I put an advert in the local newspaper. Well, the phone didn't stop ringing. And then we've got a roof at Easter. Well, I went around looking for a roofer. Then I wanted a wall building. Well, I found a bricklayer. Then I found a plasterer. And within 6 months, I had 8 different trades working for me, with me, together. I was just doing their paperwork, doing all of and they were so happy. And we built such a good business that way. And it was so simple. Now I look at it and go, it was that easy in a difficult time. There was no social media to promote it. It was just sticking signs in people's gardens, another installation by Lee Glenker, and sticking the odd one in the local paper to generate a bit more business. That was it. Now you've got social media. You can reach millions. You can reach the entire world. And this just goes to show that if you're out there with a pure heart trying to do the right thing, we can all help one another. And the fundamentals of where we're going right now, the reality is we don't need money. We just need people willing to work together. Because there are certain people that want us to have money because they want to steal our money so that we don't have any. As Richard Branson once said, if you divide up the entire world's wealth equally, within 10 years, the Jews would have it all back again. I mean, somebody would have it all back again. But that's the truth. Some people are natural born spenders. Some people are natural born savers. And if we live in a world whereby there are people out there, Charlie, I can't grow carrots. Well, there's plenty of things you can do because God has given every single one of us an ability to do something. And if you can find that one thing, first of all, that you enjoy doing, if you find a way to enjoy, if you enjoy doing something, then find somebody to help you monetize it. As Kenny Rogers' mother said, find something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And he played the guitar and sung. And he made a very good living out of it. He struggled until he met Lionel Richie. And Lionel Richie gave him that one song, Lady, that turned his whole life around. And it's very much a situation in life where you have to put the work in. I've said many times that I've failed in my life more times than most people have tried. That's why I've been successful. Not because I was lucky, because I kept trying. And every time I got knocked down, I learned from it. I took it as a positive, that I've learned what not to do, because you learn nothing from success. You learn everything from failure. And as Den rightly said earlier, he and I both had an awakening that there's more to life than money, more to life. And in fact, there's somebody, I'm not going to mention his name, who I made a multi-millionaire. And he came back to me and said, Charlie, money don't make you happy. I go, no, it doesn't. It magnifies what you are. If you're a twat to start with, you just become a bigger twat. That's a fact of life. But if you're a good person with a big heart and a kind person, you become a kinder person, a more generous person, a more giving person. And this is all part of our awakening. And I watched a bit of the Tommy Robertson thing today, and it was very interesting because a lot of stuff I knew all about the child abuse within Parliament. I knew all about the child sacrifice. When I first heard it 6 years ago, I did not believe it. I thought people were feeding me a load of rubbish until I met somebody involved and then somebody else involved. And then when I saw it with my own eyes. And there's a lot of people going to wake up today in London who never realised what was going on with the children, with politicians. And my favourite saying of the day today, I've laughed and laughed and laughed when I heard it. The Labour Party are like a team of crackheads on a payday loan. It's not their money. They're not going to pay it back. And they're completely off their trees. All of them.
Well, we're totally. It's an absolute spiritual war that is going on. There isn't any other way of describing it. I mean, it's but it's a system itself. The system itself is a beast system. So everyone's been born into this system, experienced trauma. It's been created, this system, by man. So this is what was not intended by the creator of all things. But we're breaking free of it, and we're ultimately recognizing, obviously, with the intrinsic value of every man, woman, and child across the face of the earth, that we are the system. Ultimately, we've already been paying our taxes into the system all our lives, but also the sweat equity goes into building it and actually servicing it. I mean, the companies, the big corporations can't function without the people being the employees. So the thing is we own it already. We're just not receiving the equal dividends. And what we actually have written in the plan is going to just allow us to completely, like, you know, reduce the work hours for everyone to a fraction. I mean, people will work as much as they want, but it will be their choice to do that. But essentially the focus switches to one of profit and loss, GDP worldwide, to uplifting, healing humanity, restoring the earth, and that includes leisure and doing all of the things in your bucket list. And that's how we can motivate people who aren't even working or on the welfare system, or not even on a welfare system in parts of the world where they don't have one, to actually contribute just a fraction of hours, but on what's essential. And then every contribution that's made in that new paradigm is recognised universally as important as the next. Doesn't matter whether it's a cleaning job because it's essential or a brain surgery job. That way, with the abundance that we receive equally and unparalleled to anything that we've ever seen before, we can describe, what this has actually been prophesized. What we are actually delivering with this is the heaven on earth that actually was depicted in John's Revelations, in his visions in Revelations. But it has been written about in different ways and means, and people have had concepts of like the resource-based economy, the Venus Project, if you're aware of Jacques Fresco and what he was writing about. This is how we do it, though, just by choosing it, and it's the most rapid way to do it as well. It just requires people's free will choice to do it. So, can't wait to sort of for you to dig into it. I'm sure you're going to want to dig into it and ask some questions about it.
Yeah, definitely. And this is all part of our journey. And you and I both know, because we've had our own businesses, that when you first have your own business, you think to yourself, I want my own business because then I can work the hours I want to. The reality is when you have your own business, you actually work twice as hard as anybody else because you're doing what you love doing. I wake up every single morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to do research for my own channel because I love what I'm doing. I love the calling to be part of the awakening, part of it. And that for me is exciting, to do my research and to find out what's going on. And I'd love to know more about how your system operates so that people can participate in it, join it. I think this is what the world needs. Young men who are out there creating, like we should be, systems that are outside government control, that allow the public to be free, to do what you want to, so that you wake up in the morning and do what you want to do. And when you do that, the first thing that happens is you feel free. And if you wake up every morning and you don't have to worry about money, then it's so much more fun getting up in the morning. If you've got to get up at 4 in the morning because you need the money to pay the bills, it becomes absolutely horrible. But when you don't have to worry about that, and I promise you, Den and I know what we're talking about on this one. We know exactly what we're talking about. You wake up in the morning, you don't have to worry. It's so much easier to get up in the morning than when you have to get up to pay the bills. And if we can help you guys get across into that world, which is what this is all about, is showing you how you individually can move out of poverty, out of the swamp that you've been living in, that's stuck in. You're stuck in this and you can't get out. There are so many people stuck. They can't get out. I just need a break. This is your time for the break. Den, show us how we can get this break.
Awesome. So you can actually start to actually plug into this and get abundance on the journey. Okay, because I actually, I'm like I say, I'm teaching people how to do what I've been doing. I do what I do online around my busy schedule running the business. So again, running a full-time business, if I can do it and I can find the energy to do it, then even if you're busy, you've got a job, you've got family, you can still find some time in the pockets of time in your day to do this if you want to, and it can give you your time back on the journey. Okay, but firstly, when people go to the website, and it's divine-gpms, I'm sure there'll be links here that people can refer to.
We'll share the links.
When people land on the website, the first thing they'll see is a vote consent button, and you just tap on that and you'll see the freedoms that are listed and a decree. So the decree states that basically you're sovereign, that you have a higher authority than any government, corporation, or institution because you're a living, breathing, divine being. Those are dead entities, corporations that aren't living, breathing. But the highest authority is us equally with each other. There's no one that has a higher authority than anyone else, bar the prime creator of absolutely everything, right? God, source, whatever you like to describe that to be. And then we are activating, and it's recognizing your intrinsic value, which is infinite, also equal to everyone else, but infinitely worth more than all the material outside of you, right? So this is where, by a universal majority vote rules. Everyone understands how voting works, how the election process works, the majority vote rules. So this is not just being added as an agreement, and that's it. Your agreement's going to be added as a number for the country that you're in and also for the worldwide total. So this is what breaks the illusion of consent to a system that is obviously continuing to harm and destroy. And we're creating the new one, which is obviously all about creation. So again, as long as your freedoms don't impose on the freedoms of other people, as long as you do no harm, then you'll be as free and as abundant as you ever would wish and could even imagine. And that's what protects everyone divinely from the system, but also against people, then slipping off the right path, because people are going to be too busy enjoying life, experiencing life, and wanting to maintain this new experience as we create it rapidly. So when you give your vote, it's logged. You'll get an email through automatically where you can then participate in weekly calls that are occurring where people all over the world will connect into those calls. You'll be able to go into Telegram groups where you can also connect with other people within the movement, because this is not just a website, it's obviously a movement of change. I'm encouraging anyone that wants to really wants to help us drive this as quickly as possible, because there is going to be a flashpoint where this happens in a blink of an eye, right? I'm pretty sure Christ has said things about the heaven on earth coming in a blink of an eye. But when we actually have millions of people that have already given their agreement worldwide, it could be 1 million, it could be 5 million. We're at 403,000 in 174 countries at the moment, 403,000. But it's very well represented. We are like the People's United Nations, the real United Nations of the people, right? When we have 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, can't tell you the number, we'll have also many, many people promoting this online and offline. But online, it will be seen by many, like 10,000 people promoting this online means that we'll actually be reaching probably about 1 million people a day discovering it, from which you'll have thousands and thousands, or hundreds of thousands potentially of consents coming in. And of course, more people then joining to promote it. That will then mean that everyone will start to believe it straight away. They won't be skeptical, they won't be cynical about it, in the sense of they'll give their agreement without hesitation, and they'll start talking about it, because they'll be able to say, you think this is a laugh? You think that this isn't real? You think that this isn't going to happen? Look how many people are sharing this on TikTok. Look, live stream after live stream. There's hundreds of people, thousands of people doing it. This is occurring. So people will obviously give agreement. So to get to that point of momentum, we need to have people sharing it and promoting it, which is how I can now teach people about how you can actually set up a free website, for example, on Beacons AI. You can have links to the website, Divine GPMS there, but you can also have your PayPal plugged in so that you can receive income. And you can learn from my free guide, which I provide a bundle, how to set up your free website. It takes about an hour to do. You don't need any tech skills or experience. How you can actually upload videos to TikTok and edit those videos like a pro from your very first video. It shows you step by step in 10 short 1-minute videos. And then how you can basically use the scripts that I've given as a guideline of what you can say, but you can just basically follow my blueprint on how I do it on TikTok. And TikTok is a great platform for discovery, because most people that see you are going to be new people. And so this is why it's going to drive it very, very rapidly when we have many. So I've started to get a lot more people requesting of this. Is a brand new initiative straight out the factory, literally in the last few days, where I put it all together with a video, which is 20 minutes, that explains exactly how you can benefit in the now and what we can do with that abundance on the journey. Because we've already got people in Africa, like orphanages, that have been logging the agreements of children, because every vote counts, including the children, haven't mentioned that, even if they're 1 minute old, because this is to protect them, it's to bring up the bright future for them. So mothers and fathers can log the agreement of their children with their own email address. They don't have to create an email address for their children. If you have family members that are close to your mother and father that maybe with dementia, they can't understand it and do it for themselves, you can do it for them. So again, you can start to obviously be a guardian with us with this, and you can start to promote it and share it and obviously attract people into the movement, and then monetize your connections on social media. Because as you know, Charlie, it's all about people knowing you exist. If you've got something to offer, if people don't know about you, then they're not going to buy from you. Simple as that. Well, what I've created is a free step-by-step strategy. So everybody starts for free, they start learning for free, they get up and running for free, and then they build the connection. And then from the connection, they build currency, and that can actually bring abundance for people promoting it. Because we've all been doing it voluntarily, but these orphanages, they've been going village to village, door to door, collecting agreements from people that don't have smartphones and internet. You know, there's like billions of people who are below the line of poverty that don't even have that yet in that part of the world. And we've seen that in the Philippines. That's where most of the agreements are coming in from at the moment. They're at 289,000 because they've been doing it all offline in that way. So but once we've got more abundance that's shared, that we can also use some of that abundance to obviously help those who are needy, that are on the verge of starvation. We can prevent that on the journey. If it takes longer than a year to get this done, we can help a lot of people and preserve life now for people with that shared abundance, and also use some of that abundance to drive other initiatives, paid initiatives. I mean, also we're going to have more opportunity with other amazing platforms like yourself, Charlie, with big followings, and that will occur. But we're not relying on that. We don't need to rely on that. It's been done from the ground up. The humble, the small man on the street can now become obviously as active and as big at promoting this as they wish. It's just their choice.
No, absolutely brilliant. And you're absolutely right. I've traveled the world extensively. You mentioned there about the Philippines. Philippines, I've been to many times. There's over 7,000 islands in the Philippines. About 2,500 are occupied. When you talk about natural resource, the Philippines has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world where people would love to go and stay, and you could boost their economy. The sad thing about the Philippines that blows my mind is they're 10 times happier than the British, the Americans, and the Europeans, and they've got nothing. We've got everything. And they're happier than us with nothing. And then you go into Africa, God's country, that has an abundance of natural resource that's been stolen from them for years. Whether it's their oil, their diamonds, their gold, their silver, they've got everything. And we've been stealing it. And they can still dance better than us, and they can still sing better than us, and they're still happier than us. And that tells you everything you need to know about what matters in life, that you can rob these people blind and they can still smile and be happy. And we're miserable little bastards, and we got everything. And that just tells you, and I'll tell you the one thing that they do have that we don't have. They have a very unique relationship with their creator. In the Philippines, they're all into karaoke, they're all singing, they all go to church, they all get together. The same in Africa. There's nothing better in life than an African choir. I mean, they've got so much harmony, they're so happy, and yet we've got everything and we're not. And so we can learn from these people, not only that they have not got, but we've stolen from them for years. We've raped and pillaged them for years, and yet they've still risen above it all. And this is all part of the journey. And it doesn't surprise me that you've got a massive take up in the Philippines. Africa will be another one. The interesting thing is that all of the people in the UK and Europe and America that fell for the virus and the vaccine, fell for it hook, line and sinker with no evidence at all. Now, when you tell them the truth, want mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence to save them looking stupid again. And that does make me smile, because you can show them all the evidence, they still don't believe it. They'd still rather watch the telly and read the newspaper. But, God bless them. Up to them. I'm not going to force them. The most useful piece of advice: don't argue with an idiot. It makes you an idiot. With some of these people, you can't convince them at all. So don't bother. Don't waste your energy. You've done what you can. And it's for us now. And this is why I like Den. He's got a very, very positive attitude, a positive aura. And that's what you want to be. You want to show the world what it's like to be set free from the system. It's like you've just stepped out of prison after doing a 10-year stretch, and you're dancing down the street telling everyone you're free. It's that feeling. And that's how we've been. We've been trapped in this system for so long. and we're now free. And when you show the world what it's like to be free, they'll ask you, so what have you got that I haven't got? And that's when Den gets into his own to show you how you can be free yourself. A lot of people don't even realize they're in prison. That's how clever these people were. They had no idea that they were in prison until they tried to get out.
Spiritual abundance, my friend, spiritual abundance. So where you've got a lot of people with financial abundance, they're spiritually poor in poverty, spiritually.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Yeah, just knowing that actually what our self-worth is, what our value is, and what the value is of other people. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are ready for this, and there's a lot of people that are way too sleepy to even pay it any attention. But we don't need to worry about those. We just need to resonate with those that are ready to receive the message, and then as more join the club, then more wake up, you know, because they're seeing with their eyes what's going on, and they feel safe as well, you know, because a lot of actually the mind control and the mass formation is occurring on the ego level, being popular or not becoming less popular if you then go away from the mass formation. So we're effectively creating the new formation, and that's why bringing abundance to many people on the journey rapidly with this simple strategy, which is absolutely mind-blowing what it will do. People just follow this strategy. Is going to attract magnetically other people into wanting to be part of this group, because they're going to start seeing that obviously the humble are going to be praised and the prideful are going to be humbled, because, you know, this other system, it's basically, as we know it, this existing one, it is removing the middle classes, but it's preventing people from being able to, you know, become abundant, because you can't have everybody being abundant in capitalism and communism. You know, some people, they think of what we're talking about as being communism, and yes, there's different forms of communism that have been written about, but this has never ever been recognized. Your intrinsic value being infinite, you having an equal shareholding of all of the Earth's infrastructure, having a decentralized system where we're not governed, we self-govern through councils, committees and administrations that aren't there to negotiate trade deals and make profits for the country and all that sort of things, but they're just to redistribute the resources and use that infrastructure for the benefit of all people to our absolute abundance and peace. Yeah, peace across the earth, because there'd be nothing to fight for anymore. And it's just going to work absolutely beautifully. Like, we're building the largest worldwide think tank as we help people discover this, understand it, and give their agreement to it. And so all of the answers and solutions are in the hearts of the many, but we will have no conflicts of interest in this new paradigm. There'll be no mechanism to buy, manipulate, and sell anyone ever again, because everyone's going to be absolutely abundant. And so it eradicates the problems right at the core. And like I say, everyone's going to be free to experience and to travel and see the world and do what they want to contribute for the benefit of all people. And that's where the reciprocating value and receiving that it's just going to be the gift, the universal gift for everyone. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. Councils, committees, administrations that will be forming very much and very quickly as we go through the process, especially as we start to lead to bigger numbers. We'll basically, like I say, redistribute the resources. That includes allocating the human resources, the 40 hours a month service. People will be very quickly sort of, you know, saying, okay, well, we need to have 10,000 hours a month of human resource working on that essential role. So people will need to be opting in to do that, which people will be very happy to do for receiving all of the things that they could ever want and imagine to do. And so that's just one example. And so we've got 3 phases of the plan, just to quickly mention. We've got phase 1, which is to get to 1.75 billion people as quickly as possible. That makes us the largest nation worldwide, albeit that we're in the ether and a universal nation. We're standing in divine law, higher in authority than any legislation or government, corporation, institution. It means that we have 8 million people on average in each country, probably at that point, right? Because even if there's, it's kind of, let's say, top heavy in a particular country or a few countries, those numbers, very quickly there'll be like a 100 monkey effect where everyone in those other countries sees what's going on elsewhere and they'll want to be part of it. And there'll be a race, or just be a race to bring it in everywhere. But yeah, 8 million people in each country on average worldwide means that as I'm doing my live presentations talking about this, it's written in the plan as well. People can see all of this written in the website. You can, kind of also start to envision what you want to see as well, because that's the beautiful thing about what we're doing. The people in the police and the military are going to ultimately become equal shareholders with us by that majority vote, meaning they're going to be free from the old system, meaning their children, their families are going to be free and protected by this as well, equally. So they're going to stand with the people once they see it's supported sufficiently well in their country, but also as they see it happening worldwide. So at phase two, we basically are going to take. We heard. Was it Danny? We heard basically something to do. We know the media is obviously basically controlling things. The perception management is coming through the mainstream media. So when we get to that point where the police will say, okay, we stand with you and we won't stand in your way, let's say, we can actually just go to the BBC, ITV networks, Fox News, and literally just broadcast to the rest of the world, this is what's occurring, and we won't have any resistance, won't have police, we won't have military stopping us. It will just be a peaceful move into those broadcasting centres to broadcast what we're doing, and then in hours of those broadcasts, we know that we'll reach the high majority and it will begin. It's going to be epic. Before that, there'll be mass gatherings, not to protest, because protesting isn't necessarily rallying people into the movement. So again, that's going to magnetise more people into the movement as well. But again, it all starts from where we are now, people discovering it and starting to get involved and then actually be part of it and then growing it from there. So
there's a very important line in the Bible which sums this all up. He that has an ear, let him hear. That doesn't mean everybody. There are people out there that won't hear. And you have to let them be. You have to let them go. But we're there to help those who can hear, not those who can't. There are people. I watched the debate the other day in the Senate, in the where Elizabeth Warren was fighting against the Clarity Act. And these people who are fighting against it are part of the swamp. They don't have ears to hear. They were just there to cause trouble. Also, if you follow David Icke, he's told us for 30 years, 40 years about the reptilians, the cold blue-blooded people. They don't have ears to hear. Don't worry about them. Worry about those who can hear. And they're the ones that are God's chosen people. That's not, God didn't choose a cult or a sect. He chose individuals. You ain't going to go to heaven because you go to a certain church. You're going to find abundance by making your own personal link with God. And you can only get to God through his Son. That's the only way. It's very clear. You get to God through Christ Jesus, whether you like it or not. Some people like to go through the back door with ayahuasca. Great. But you'll get kicked back out and you'll have to come in the front door. That's a fact of life. You got a sight of God through the back door. Great. You know he exists. But the only way to God the Father is through Christ the Son. And when you know that, you go, do you know what? I'll go through the front door. Donald Trump has had all the evidence against everyone. I mean, bundles of it for years. Bundles of it. But he hasn't gone through the back door. He got it all from Edward Snowden. He got it all from Julian Assange. He got it all from the Epstein files. He's got everything. When he says he's got everything and more. But he didn't use it because it came through the back door. He's going through the front door. So that there's nothing that they can do about it. It has to be done right. And right now, there are people out there who are opened to hearing the truth. There are also those on the other side who are not. And there's too many of us who are worried about the people who are tone deaf. Don't worry about them. Worry about those who are receptive. There's plenty of them. And you only had to watch Tommy Robinson's march in London today to make Britain great again to see how many. It's got nothing to do with colour. It's got nothing to do with religion. And it's got everything to do with people having their own link with God. People coming together. I mean, it's unbelievable. And one quick question that went through that I will answer because somebody asked it. Charlie, explain to me about fossil fuel not being oil not being a fossil fuel. Very, very simple. Fossils have only ever been found up to about 5 kilometers underground, never further, ever in history. And you have to get oil, you drill down very often 10 kilometers, sometimes further. So if you're drilling down beyond where fossils exist, it's not a fossil fuel, it's a mineral fuel. And that's why there's an abundance of it. God gave us a complete abundance. We just have had it restricted by certain families, and namely the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. They were Jewish, were they? Oh, yeah, I forgot that. That was restricted by certain people who wanted taxes, who wanted everything else out of it, who wanted to restrict it and make sure that they had control of it. And why do we hate Iran at the moment? Oh, because their petrol is 5 cents a litre. That's why we hate them. That's why we're trying to take over their country. They've never had a nuclear weapon. They've never had a nuclear deterrent. They have a fatwa in place that says they can't do it. All of that is BS, because we want control of their oil because it's cheap as chips. And we want it. So we have to lie to the public that they've got a bit like the one. Didn't they say they had weapons of mass destruction next door in Iraq? Oh, there was nothing there, was there? But we got their oil, didn't we? Oh, yes. We got all their natural resources. We didn't find any weapons, though, did we? The only weapons we found were the ones that we sent there. I mean, when you wake up to the truth, when you wake up to it, it's almost like divine comedy. You couldn't make it up. And I heard somebody say the other day, we're going to make Cuba great again. Well, you fucked it up in the first place. Let's be real. Cuba's a beautiful part of the world that was destroyed by the US. And there's beautiful people out there, and they make bloody good cigars for those people who smoke a cigar. There's nothing better than the Cuban. But they're great people. And we're going to make it great again. Yeah, because you messed it up. This is how politicians have destroyed people's lives for so long. They destroy it, and then they come back with a little bit of good. Oh, here we go. We're going to make you great again. Well, thanks, but you destroyed us years ago. And you destroyed our livelihood. And the whole idea of taking control of our lives so that this doesn't happen, if you give over your sovereignty to somebody else, don't moan like a bitch when it goes wrong, because we all have to take control of our own lives. And this is all part of the journey of us taking. When you do that, when you take responsibility for your own life and find something that you love doing, you'll enjoy life so much more. And when you do what God called you to do, God takes care of everything else. That's your abundance. God takes care of everything.
100%. I mean, we're not here by chance, and against all odds, we're still here. I don't think there's anybody out there that actually hasn't come close to not being here because of things that happened to them that by all odds potentially could have just taken them out in a blink. But you're still here, and I generally like with this movement, because we're actually about bringing up everyone together from all religions, all belief systems, all faiths. I do explain and share that I fully trust in our Lord Jesus Christ. But at the same time, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, I know in more ways than one, in terms of even just promoting this message, because it's through my faith, it's through the fact that I have been divinely protected, and I'm very, very aware of that. But also with the experience I've had, the prophetic dreams, many things have given me that absolute conviction, but that's why I actually am doing what I'm doing and bringing this now in a big way. It doesn't make me special in any way, shape or form. It's just that, again, when I was young, and my dad, he was also strong with his faith, and he was a Christian, but he imparted many things to me. One of the things that he taught me from a young age is, whenever I have any challenges and I'm up against anything, just to say that I can do all things through Jesus Christ, which strengthens me, over and over again. And with that chant and with that prayer, guess what? I always came through with any challenges I had. I'm not putting the trust in myself at all, because it's done for me already. And with those experiences that I've had, it's enabled me to flow through my life much more efficiently than I would be I would have been if I hadn't had that faith, fortunately. But again, likewise, he said to me, he taught me as a young man, you know, if I really want to do anything, if I set my mind to do anything, I can do it. Like self-determination is something that we've all been given by God, along with our other inalienable rights that can't be given by a government, can't be taken away. They're just God-given, they're inalienable. And your right and ability with self-determination to make things happen with your freedom to choose is what we have here. And we are, obviously using to actually bring this in rapid time. And so, yeah, the website, just so everyone knows as well, it does have lots on there that you can take time to look at if you want to actually learn more and be able to explain it. But you can use it as a tool. I mean, I would just, if you're sharing it with friends and family offline, what my own personal experiences, even as one of the big promoters of this online with a growing following, is that my own family don't take it. They're not ready to receive this, right? And this is obviously similar for a lot of people. A lot of people are fortunate and they do have many in their family that have been awakening. My family, they humour me, some of them, but my brother, who's older than me, done very, very well for himself. He basically is very much of the mind that the system has to be created from the top down. And he actually does believe in a one world government, but centralised, and thinks that we do need to have a ruling class. So he's basically made himself very abundant, but yet he's a slave. He's still in the slave mentality. We need to have rulers. If you've got rulers, you got slaves. Which are you? You're the ruler or are you the slave? Which one? Because you can't be both, right? So we're going to be ruling unto ourselves, but with obviously all of the good virtues. That's what makes everything go round and just be absolutely in peace, harmony, and balance with this. So. Yeah, use the website to actually show the plan. We've got a great page on there which actually describes or illustrates what we've been used to with the old system and how that changes with the new system. And that helps, again, people kind of just, connect a few more dots. People will have questions again. Well, how's this going to work? How's that going to work? Who's going to do these jobs? If everybody's rich, everybody's abundant, there are going to be changes, right? Big changes, but they'll all be very, very good. And you're going to be so happy with those changes when we're there. All of those things that you thought that you were attached to that might be changes that at this moment you might think somehow you wouldn't like if they were to happen. A, you don't know they're not going to happen, but B, this kind of whole dimension that we're moving into is one of absolute beauty. Like you can't get better than the heaven on earth, right? So, you just got to basically start to ask the questions, find the answers, seek to find the answers in yourself rather than seek to find the problems or the reasons why you can't do something. Like, again, Charlie will attest to this. If you basically had to, when you're starting a business of any kind, not even just with inventions, but if you were focusing on all of the reasons why you can't do something before you start your idea, your invention, your business, you never get started, right? You have to start first. Right. So, yeah, so that's what we ask.
There's also a very interesting verse in James 2, which says, faith without works is dead. We have to do something. There's too many people out there that have sat there going, oh, Donald Trump's come to save me. No, he hasn't. He's come to drain the swamp, to give you a chance to get out of it. But you have to do something yourself. And what Den's done is done something for himself and for you as well, where you can all be a part of this. You can either sit there, the door is open of the prison, the door is open. It's up to you to get off your backside and do something and get out. If you sit there, you will stay there for the rest of your life. And there's a lot of people out there that are prepared to just sit there and do nothing and wait. And I talk to some of my friends as well. They live in their happy bubble. And I've got members of my family who are in their happy bubble, who don't agree with anything I say. And I've decided that we're never, ever going to agree on it because their bubble that they live in is a very, very different bubble than I live in. And that's how they put it. You live in a different bubble. I said, fine, I'm happy with my bubble. You're happy with your bubble. Around my bubble, I live in a world where I'm not in fear. I can get out of my bubble anytime I want. You can't. I've got the key to my bubble. I'm in control of my bubble, and I can go and join other people in their bubbles, and I can talk to anybody I want in their bubble. No problem at all. but you're stuck in your bubble. You can't get out of it. Just very quickly, Drew, I'm sure you've got some questions there.
I
I've
have.
been looking at questions.
Yeah,
Go on,
yeah.
I'll hand over to you.
But I want to say I like bursting people's bubbles.
I know you do. I know.
And then great to have you on. And what you've been speaking about, Charlie's been going on about for a long time, where it's not government, it's self-governance. So there you go, in a nutshell. Now, I've got a question here for you. Where does DEN method sit with UCC 1-308 and Anna von Retzinger return to land and soil notices? And how is setting up a nation happening? So you know,
Well, I can't say I'm familiar with that particular code, but I mean, essentially, um, all of the earth is ours to share. We've got to obviously respect, the indigenous peoples and their lands and their culture and stuff. And this is a major thing that we are protecting with what we're doing, because obviously the focus is on humanity and restoring the earth. But it's also about respect as well, bringing respect and morals and ethics back to the equation. So ultimately, by a majority vote, we all become equal shareholders of all of the infrastructure, all of the resources and corporations. Not to say this is my bit and I'm keeping it for myself and I'm going to want more of it for me. No, it's just there so we can actually really recognise the intrinsic infinite value of every man, woman and child, and use that and have the resources and infrastructure and how they're used reflect that. So in terms of everyone's going to be able to, potentially be involved with growing and using the soil and the land around you to harvest and do those things. If you want to contribute your time and energy doing those things, we're not taking anything from anyone that they already have that, they want to keep in terms of homes that people have that they want to keep. But the thing is people are going to want to upgrade pretty quickly because we're going to be able to upgrade everything. There'll be no limitation to how we create going forward because there's no hoarding of resources, and it's all about bringing the absolute, simple. So again, even with the billionaires and the rich people and all those things that actually own big properties, and if they've got those things through, not being criminal in the process, let's say, then they could keep their homes. We're not going to take those from them. But again, even if they're a nice home, they may not want to keep them for very long before wanting to upgrade. But we'll be able to share, obviously, many of the accommodations and build, obviously, more accommodations to obviously put everybody into absolute comfort and then moving absolutely into abundance beyond their imagination. So, I'm not, in terms of titles and all that sort of thing, the ownership of everything, really, as far as we know, has always been an illusion anyway. It was always, the first lands were claimed verbally without even any deeds, right? The first people that discovered land said, "Oh, well, I like that piece of land, I'll have that." Then they decided to make it official with deeds, but all it was a claim. So all we're doing is making a claim, and then it all becomes ours, and then we can, just start to focus on organising and shifting and moving forward as we want. The legislation, I mean, basically we're ratifying this into law. The divine law of do no harm supersedes any legislation which actually just by its nature causes harm, right? So by a majority vote, we obviously bring it in, and then the new law is laid out. It's very simple. One thing that people might have a question that rises for them is this: is they might sort of say, well, let's just say people driving cars and what have you, you don't have any speeding tickets or fines and things like that. Like, well, that's going to be insane. People will be causing lots of harm. People are going to be able to race their cars on all of the racetracks that we create, which we can create for that purpose, where they can put themselves at risk with those that want to put themselves at risk doing that. And instead, people aren't going to be rushing to a 9 to 5 grind. They're not going to be stressed. They're not going to be with depression, not going to be with psychosis. Their intelligence levels are going to increase, and they will be, wanting to do that which is good for everyone. Love thy neighbor and, protect their brothers and sisters. And so they will be more responsible. So self-responsibility is coming back into the equation. So that's how the simplified law works. It's difficult for people to see when we're in a world where you can't have a paradigm like that, because obviously the beast system itself does not permit it. It causes the problems in the first place, but that's what we're breaking free from.
Well, there was a question that came up there just now about what the White Hats think about this, and I'll just say one thing, that everything that's going on right now is preparing us for the future, so that we're ready for when God takes us home, so that we're ready to live in a world of abundance. Because in the old days, which we've lived through, 75% of lottery winners went bankrupt within 5 years because they didn't know how to live with abundance. I had no idea. And now what we're trying to do is educate people how to live with abundance, how to find happiness without money. Because we've all been led to believe that you need to have money to be happy, which is BS. You don't. You need to have job satisfaction. You need to find something that you like doing. Money doesn't matter. For some reason, I've never, ever, ever worried about money, ever. I've always enjoyed what I do. And when I do my job, the money follows automatically. I'll do the I'm one of those naughty boys. I know that. 43 years I haven't paid tax. So that makes me 20% financially better off than most people on the planet. Sometimes 30, sometimes 40%. Because I found out very early on when I lived in Spain that if I was a resident in Gibraltar and got paid in Gibraltar, I didn't pay tax. So what did Charlie do? He became a resident in Gibraltar for 10 years, from 1983 to 1993. So all my money that I got paid was tax-free. And then I moved to Zug. I had a house in Zug overlooking Lake Zug in Switzerland, where I could live tax-free again. And I worked in Spain, lived in Spain, but I had a house in Switzerland. And I bought the house and then later on sold the house for more money than I bought it for. And on top of that, I lived tax-free because all my money went through Switzerland. And then in 2003, I moved my head office to Dubai, where my head office has been in Dubai for 23 years. Tax-free. So I don't pay any taxes. Now, there are some people who go, well, you're a bad man, you should pay your taxes. Well, yeah, I'm a bad man that's actually managed to help house over 250,000 people that were homeless. That's how bad I am. But at least I know where my money's going. It didn't go for bombs. It didn't go for weapons to Ukraine or to Israel to help them kill children. It went to making people's lives better. And Drew knows exactly because we've helped so many people in London. Drew, along with Anthea and myself, we've fed thousands of people in London. Last time I was in London with them, Justin wanted to go into I think it was the McDonald's. There was some bloke in there bragging that he's going to this event where he can get loads of sleeping bags and sell them on eBay. And he makes a lot of money out of it. And then he suddenly saw that I was the man behind it that was helping donate these things. And he looked rather embarrassed. But that doesn't destroy my attempt to try and help other people. There are lots of people out there that are not good. But I'll look after the ones that want to be better. And then many of these people, when you help them, the first thing they do is go and help somebody else. They're good people. There are those out there that will just take. We have it here in Spain, where I help them in Spain, where I've helped them in America, where I've helped them in Africa, where I've helped them in Brazil, where I've helped them in Japan, where I've helped them all over the world. There are good people everywhere. There are wankers everywhere too. Just leave them alone. Don't let them drag you down. Just stick with the good people, and that's how you become good. Surround yourself with good people. We'll meet lots of bad people. That's life. The more bad people you meet, the more you appreciate the good ones. Dan, thank you so much for being with us. It's a real pleasure to meet you. I'd love to have you on again because I think what you're doing is preparing people beautifully for what God has created. And this is all part of the journey. So that when you live in abundance, you don't become a drug addict or an alcoholic and just go to pieces, that you learn that life is better. It can be so much better. And when you help somebody, I remember when I was younger buying Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys, Rollses, Aston Martins, boats, planes, the lot. Happy for a day or two. That wore off pretty quick. I tell you what, I'll never, ever forget the young man that I helped when I was 23 years old, Max. Took him off the street, fed him, clothed him. He worked for me in the building business. Now he's married with 5 children. He's got his own building company. That's lasted with me for 40 years. And it still makes me proud. The Rolls Royce, I was glad to see the back of it after about 6 months. The planes, we used to have a naughty saying about the 3 Fs. If it flies, floats, or something else, rent it. I should have done that, but I didn't. I bought them all. I learned the hard way, and I've learned that helping other people gives you satisfaction. Last word to you, Den.
Just want to say thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been an absolute honour to connect with you. And Drew, thank you so much for all your efforts as well with bringing us together. And everyone needs to realise their self-worth. You are worth infinitely more than what you have been programmed and conditioned to believe you are. And so now you have the ability to find purpose and fulfilment, making your infinite value recognised universally by everyone, for everyone, so we can all be protected, all be in abundance, all receive unconditional love unconditionally, because that's where a lot of people have not been experiencing the world as it was truly supposed to be experienced. And that's what we're here to change, really fundamentally, because that changes everything. So with that, thank you again. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone. God bless. Thanks, Den. We'll see you soon.
See you.
Bye for now. Bye.
These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Global tensions are rising, markets are unstable, and currencies keep losing value. While governments print more money, smart investors are moving into physical gold and silver, assets that have protected wealth for centuries. That's why more people are turning to Charlie's Gold to secure their future before the next financial shakeup hits. Don't leave your wealth exposed. Own something real, own gold and silver. Visit charlies.gold today.